Newsweek published the fact check.
Oh, cool.
Did New Zealand's Jacinda Ardern call to censor free speech?
Yes.
No.
No?
Thank you, Newsweek, for correcting the record. It's false.
Oh.
She didn't actually call for censoring free speech. I was worried, because this idea that a world leader would be like, we should control the flow of information really scared me. But thank you, Newsweek, for correcting the record and letting us all know what really happened.
Yeah.
Let me play the video just to make sure everybody understands. We're booting it up here. We got Twitter loading up. Here we go.
This week we launched an initiative alongside companies and non-profits to help improve research and understanding of how a person's online experiences are curated by automated processes.
That's not so bad, right?
This will also be important in understanding more about mis- and disinformation online, a challenge that we must, as leaders, address. Sadly, I think it's easy to dismiss this problem as one in the margins. I can certainly understand the desire to leave it to someone else. As leaders, we're rightly concerned that even the most light-touch approaches to disinformation could be misinterpreted as being hostile to the values of free speech that we value so highly.
See, she says we value free speech. Why is everybody ragging on this?
But while I cannot tell you today what the answer is to this challenge, I can say with complete certainty that we cannot ignore it. To do so poses an equal threat to the norms we all value.
Norms.
After all, how do you successfully end a war if people are led to believe the reason for its existence is not only legal but noble?
Now, hold on there a minute. I agree with that. We were lied into the Iraq War. And when you tried coming out and saying this was bunk BS and we shouldn't be there, or Afghanistan for that matter, nobody believed you and the media kept lying about it. Well, wait a minute. That's the corporate press that did that.
Yes. That's the government that did that.
Whoa, yeah, that was former national security. So what is she saying?
How do you tackle climate change if people do not believe it exists?
Think about that. Here is to get serious, like this is a despotic speech. This is the Prime Minister of New Zealand saying, if people don't believe something exists, you can't manipulate it. Mm-hmm. It's just remarkable because it's like, imagine going around as a government leader insisting that we should take action to stop the moon men from invading Earth. And you're like, but why doesn't anyone believe me when I tell them the moon men are coming? Maybe you're wrong. Maybe. That's the insane thing about it. That right there is the most important part of the speech. It shows you where these world leaders want us to be. Climate change is ideological. Now, we can talk about the science behind it. That's fine. But there's a rift in politics as to whether or not people think it is or isn't happening. We just had a video the other day where Don Lemon tried pushing a NOAA scientist into saying the hurricane was intensified by climate change, and he would not do it. That's the perfect example of what I'm saying. I think there's climate change issues. I do. But I certainly think when Don Lemon as a zealot is like, how is climate change affecting this? And he goes, it's not. And he goes, well, hold on there a minute. Like I grew up there. I think it is. I think it is. Yeah. Okay. You're a zealot. She's clearly asserting here that she has an ideology that she wants to persist, and there is an opposition to that ideology she does not want to exist. This is the underlying message of what this psychopath is saying. We must address this issue. Yeah. The issue is they want to control what you can think, what you can hear, and what you can see. And ultimately, how you'll end up voting because of it.
Yeah, the speech gets worse as it goes on. She pretty much alludes that freedom of speech is a weapon of war.
Yeah, we should.
She says that dissenting voices are evil and dangerous to her.
How do you ensure the human rights of others are upheld when they are subjected to hateful and dangerous rhetoric and ideology?
Okay, that's not disinformation or misinformation, though. That's opinion. But let's.
The weapons may be different, but the goals of those who perpetuate them is often the same. To cause chaos and reduce the ability of others to defend themselves, to disband communities, to collapse the collective strength of countries who work together. But we have an opportunity here to ensure that these particular weapons of war do not become an established part of warfare.
Weapons of war.
She even admitted that it's often...
It gets worse. She's calling for a global censorship effort.
Is she saying that people often
easy it is to feel disheartened? We are facing many battles on many fronts, but there is cause for optimism, because for every new weapon we face, there is a new tool to overcome it. For every attempt to push the world into chaos is a collective conviction to bring us back to order.
Good news.
Yeah.
We have the means. We just need the collective will.
Global censorship effort. This is the end game that they're working on, that they're pushing for here. She is a globalist, World Economic Forum lackey and stooge. She has secret meetings with BlackRock. She locked down her entire country and punished people for political causes during a national, quote, health emergency. When a few cases popped up, she locked down and destroyed people's livelihoods just a few months ago, and we cannot forget that right now.
Well,
this speech is
Look,
dangerous, and it shows us where we're going.
Newsweek says fake news, Luke. Newsweek says you're wrong. And I know I just listened to what she said, but I see a little meter with a needle pointing to the red one. So
and that's all you need.
That's all you need, baby.
That's all you need.
Can I take this home for just a second? So I'm in Oklahoma. Nobody looks at Oklahoma. We got 2 college football teams, and that's what people think of. But the president of the University of Oklahoma gave very much this same speech about inclusive free speech at the University of Oklahoma, of saying that, we can't have free speech unless everybody feels the same and thinks the same and says the same things. Yeah. And so that it's coming from the ground up and from the top down. And that's what we have to start realizing. And that's why I really want people who are, like me out there in the trenches in these states that maybe nobody pays attention to, looking for this in their local media, looking for this in their colleges and in their schools, because it's not just coming from leaders of New Zealand or even the United States. It's coming from your local leaders, from your university leaders, your school leaders, and your business leaders, even at our point.
Well, this is the gaslighting that's happening here. Like, you saw what she said. It's totally fake news. Don't worry. Just trust us. Again, this is the Orwellian. This is 1984. This is what they're essentially after, because if they can control information, they know that they control people's minds. And the only thing standing in the way of them subjugating and controlling everyone is people just being able to talk freely with each other. That is the biggest threat against their entire Ponzi scheme, which is their governments. And this is not just the local government of New Zealand. They are working together on a global effort with many leaders, many prime ministers, many presidents, many people behind the scenes who are really controlling them, saying, hey, we're going to push this slowly and surely. And the end goal of what she's calling for here is a global censorship board that's internationally everywhere, applied to everyone on the face of this earth.
I want you to imagine a scenario. You're sitting down with someone, and on Twitter pops up this video where Joe Biden says, so I told him, it's what time is it? 6 o'clock. If nobody's like, what time is it? If the prosecutor's not fired by 6 o'clock, you're not getting the money. And well, SOB guy gets fired. And then you sitting there, you say, whoa, did Joe Biden just quid pro quo? Huh. And the man next to you wearing the suit says, Russia put that video out.
Oh.
And then I want you to imagine what level of cognitive ability you would have to go, oh, that proves it.
This is just phase one. They're weeding out the people that'll just believe the gaslighting. Next, it's going to be deep fakes where even the intelligent people don't know what's real.
Well, already, if we say that this happened, the fact checkers are going to demote, downrank our posts, delete our posts, delete our entire accounts, and our ability to even have a voice on the internet, and might even go as far as to destroy our ability to earn money, which is centrally linked to, of course, online centralized platforms like PayPal that legitimately do punish people because of their political opinions.
I want you to just imagine, or actually, there's a meme. It's really funny. It's 2 people sitting down in a post-apocalyptic world, and he hands a meme to the other guy, and it's like,
the meme exists.
Well, it's already there.
But I'm saying there's a meme of it.
Yeah.
It's like he's got a physical meme he's got to hand to somebody else.
But I want to hit on something you brought up, because it takes an actual process to get the mind to do what you explained. To have that guy in the suit, the expert, tell you that to not believe what you see with your eyes, that's social emotional learning.
Yeah.
That's exactly what that is, because you train kids and you train people over a course of time through multitudes of different ways, even through the media that you consume, right? And they train you to respond emotionally, because you then feel, wait a minute, am I offending this person? Then I better agree with him. And then agreeing with him means it's altered my reality. That's social emotional learning. And that's what's happening in your schools right now. That's whether you're talking about anti-racism or you're talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion, they all mean pretty much the exact opposite of what they're saying, but they play upon the emotions to make you feel a different way about it.
The end result is that liberals are killing their own kids and sterilizing them. So it's like, What the future, if they get control of the information systems, I'm still not convinced that they will perpetuate their ideology enough.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm terrified that could happen. Like people being born into a system where they're just being told. What'll happen is the things we know now can be erased from the conscious memory. They can be rewritten. All the things can be burned. The stuff can be translated. Like, we probably were born into a system of brainwashing without realizing it.
Sure.
Oh, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. We're the good guys. And then you find out the eradication, the genocide of the population, all the horrors.
Or is that even real?
Yeah, exactly.
Is it?
Who knows what
Who
happened?
knows what is real?
You may be. No, this is an important point. Just to hit on that. When you're like, we hear that Columbus did, he came here and discovered America or whatever. That's like, oh, okay, that's really cool. Then you learn later, like, actually, he genocided the Native Americans. The question is, which version of history is the true version? If one of them is wrong, how do you know which one's the real one?
If either of them are real.
Right. For all we know, Christopher Columbus came over on a jet ski and just chilled.
Or even
and I'll be honest, had a coconut.
I grew up in the United States just fine. And if I was in some sort of fog, intentional, be made to believe lies and stuff, I was okay about it, and I was totally happy. So I'm afraid that people could grow up in this modern technocratic society and experience the same kind of thing, and just go along with free speech, not knowing what that means, or they'll still use the term free speech, but it will mean what they want it to be redefined as.
The freedoms you sacrifice now, your children will never know or practice it.
That's right.
It's a famous quote. I butchered it. It doesn't matter. But what Jacinda over here, this lunatic, crazy, insane bureaucrat from New Zealand is calling for is already happening in other parts of the world. In the United Kingdom, if you offend someone with your post and someone sees it, you go to jail. Recently, a UK police officer arrested someone because he called them a wienerhead, but in a more unfriendly show.
That's rough.
Oh.
In a more the censorship boards are already. I have to navigate it carefully here. But
Hot dog face.
Exactly.
Did he call him a dickhead?
Oscar Mayer.
Yeah. He called him
Like when we
It feels so good to say dick. He called him a dickhead.
When we
And
try
then
to
the
avoid
officer-
swearing, when we try to avoid swearing on the show, it's for like the sake of someone who might have kids in the room.
I was just thinking that we
But
talk
if
about
we
the
need
darkest
to-
World War III stuff, and there's kids that how much worse can it get than talking about the potential end of humanity?
Well, I mean,
Saying the word dick.
Yeah.
but if we need to say express
Yes.
we
But the algorithm also picks up harsh language as well.
Phil DeFranco's got the. He's
but I
got
wanna
millions of
I want to
subscribers.
also.
He says
but
the
at
F word nonstop.
I
Man.
know,
He didn't care.
but he has buddies, and he repeats the
And he gets demonetized
talking
too.
points.
Yeah.
I support you, Phil.
So again, I also want to be respectful to the children out there and their families out there. But
it's also a name.
But just to
An
bring it
actual
back
name.
here, what Jacinda is calling for is already happening. She's just calling for it to be implemented everywhere under the control of one centralized body that will get to arrest people for offending people, hurting their emotions, and saying things that the government arbitrarily says, well, this is not accepted now. You go to jail.
But she says that the people will use this tactic of putting knowledge out that's fake, basically lying, and that often they do it for the reasons of destroying and evil. But she's very clear that it's often. It's not all the time. That's why you're innocent until proven guilty. If you put out, you can lie. You're allowed to lie and insult people. At least in this country you are.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.